Well, as the sun is shining, I thought it's high time I got the old bike out. It's been about 2 years since I last rode it, and as soon as I got on it, I realised there were a few problems. So I need to find somebody who can sort it out for me, because to be honest with you, I'm not very good at this sort of thing. And I think I know just the man. Right, I've just arrived at the bike kitchen in Colchester. It's all part of the big bike revival. Mike Pollum is with me. First of all, tell us about the big bike revival. What's it all about?
So the Big Bike Revival is an initiative by what's now known as Cycling UK, used to be CTC. It's just encouraging more people to get onto their bikes as the weather gets better. So that can be families or individuals or anyone really. So it's things like we do, so helping people check over their bikes, or family rides or group rides, and just, like I say, trying to get more and more people onto their bikes.
What sort of people do you get in here?
We tend to have people who they'll be commuting to work a lot and they just want to come in and just do a bit of fettling, a bit of tinkering, make sure their brakes are looking okay, that kind of thing. But then we have people all the way through to mums bringing their kids in and they want to just get their bike sorted out for, taking them out on family rides. We have people, again, who have been riding their whole lives, they're in their 60s, and they don't have a home workshop, but they want somewhere that they're able to do all the work themselves because they know what they're doing, but they don't have the tools. So yeah, it's pretty much everybody you can imagine.
And is it fair to say when they bring the bike in, you're not sort of hands-on, you sort of show them how to do it?
We have an idea of what we're doing, so there's various volunteers here with various levels of knowledge. So we have some people who have worked in bike shops before, other people who are just who had training, other people who are just home mechanics. You bring it in, you do the work yourself, but we've got enough knowledge between us that we can kind of guide you along the right path.
Yeah. Right, we've got my bike in front of us. As I say, it hasn't been out for about 2 years, I think. So what are the sorts of things I should be doing to it, and what can you show me what to do?
What we advise to do is what's called an M check. That's going through your bike in the shape of an M, starting from the gears at the back, working your way up to the saddle, down to your pedals, up to your handlebars, and back down to your front wheel in the shape of an M. And at each point we'll go through and we look at the various parts to make sure nothing's wobbly, nothing's loose, everything's sounding and working as it should be.
Yeah, it's got general things like, I didn't realise my handle, the rubber grips on the handlebar, they've almost melted and my hands keep sticking to them.
Yeah, that's that does happen after a while, especially if it's been kept in a shed over the summer.
Exactly,
Just tape it up, just whip your handlebar tape off, give it a clean and pop it back on again. Honestly, a lot of stuff with bikes where you think it's going to be a big expensive fix, most of the time you can just have a little tinker and it'll be good enough.
Yeah. Are there things that someone like me can't do myself and should bring to an expert?
If your knowledge is limited, you should probably take it in. What we do sits somewhere in the middle. There'll be bits and bobs you can do at home with just a screwdriver and a spanner set. There'll be bits where you might feel more comfortable doing adjustments under the supervision of us. But then there's points where if people are doing something a bit more complex, a bit more involved, we would always advise taking it to a bike shop, especially a local bike shop, and getting the advice or services of a proper qualified insured mechanic.
Yeah. I'm just looking at both our physiques. You obviously are a very keen cyclist. There's me with my pot belly. Tell us a bit about yourself. When did you get into cycling?
So I've been cycling my whole life, basically, starting off as a kid just pottering around, and then had a bit of time off when I got ill in my teens, and then I've got back into it in my 20s, and I've been cycling a lot. Like, I try and do as much as I can, really. That can range from just little sort of 30 miles around here, and then I ride with a local club called Colvelo, and we do sort of 100 to 200 mile rides. And try. We go away all over the country and around Europe.
I was impressed at 30 miles. Yeah. And you've got your bike in front of us, which looks like a proper bike. It's got the drop handlebars. It's got proper, I would describe those as proper tyres as well, because you see so many people on these mountain bikes which really aren't suitable for the road.
No, that's actually something it's kind of a bit of a bugbear for me, is I see people riding around town on mountain bikes, yes, and all they're doing is making life harder for themselves. You don't need a mountain bike, you don't need suspension unless you're doing off-road riding, really. You can get away with with a lot on just a nice aluminium framed, relatively skinny tyred road bike.
And the other thing I notice a lot, that people have the seat in the wrong position. It's always far too low.
Yeah, actually that's one of the big things we get with people. They come in and say, "Oh, I've not ridden my bike for a long time, but now it's really uncomfortable." And so there's very basic stuff we can do just to get the fit right. So handlebar position, how far they are away from you, saddle height, that kind of thing. Just making sure your bike is comfortable.
And Mike, something else I noticed from your website, there's another scheme involved with the big bike revival, and that's bike recycle. What's that about?
Yeah, so there's an organisation called Recycle, which is based just outside Colchester in Wormingford, and they've been going for a number of years, working with partner organisations around Africa. So they collect unwanted and unused bicycles in this country, and then they send them out along with spare parts to these partner organisations around Africa to encourage people to get on their bikes there. So it could be for kids getting to school, it could be people getting to work, it could be people starting up businesses themselves with cargo bikes. So it's a sort of economic stimulation there, using bikes we don't want here that they can make use of over there. You can take them along to Halfords, they do collection, they're a partner. So you might go to Halfords and you're buying yourself a new bike, and then they'll take your old bike off you, and you know that it's going to a good place.
Brilliant. Also here's Finn Wenlock, who's one of the volunteers at the Bike Kitchen in Colchester. Finn, how did you get involved?
Riding the same cycling club as Mike. He's been telling me he's been running this for a while and he could do with a bit of hand. They were thinking about opening Wednesday evenings. I'm not always about at the weekend, but I said, well, I can do Wednesday evenings for you. So I've been doing that ever since.
Fantastic. And what's your sort of cycling pedigree?
Well, a bit like Mike, I've been cycling since I was a kid, but my first ever job was in a bike shop at sort of 13 years old. Yeah. So I built up quite a bit of experience doing that. So it's nice to be able to apply it here, lend a hand for other people. Last week I arrived here, there were 3 ladies waiting on the doorstep for me. They had nothing wrong with their bikes, they just wanted some advice about how to maintain them and keep them on the road. And at the end of the evening, another chap came in with a broken wheel and I showed him how to true it. So we get, the whole spectrum of things here.
One thing I didn't ask you, is there any cost involved?
Yeah, so we do ask for a small donation, just £5 to use our workshop, but we're kind of pretty relaxed on that. So if you can't afford that, we much rather you be able to do the work and be able to get yourself on the road again.
Brilliant. Well, talking of getting myself on the road again, thanks very much for helping me, giving me advice. I'm going to put that tape around my handle grips and I'll be off. And thank you very much.
Thank you.